We're chasing championships. Simple as that.
Fast gets slow, but big doesn't get small.
But we will draft, develop, and retain our own.
I'm grateful that they gave me the opportunity and I'm here. Thumbs up.
What's up, everybody? It's welcome to Finn's Faithful. We're back, and Miami has its starting quarterback, but quarterback 2, that's the problem, and the Dolphins need to address it. We're going to start with Miami's current, what they have in the room here, and why I don't believe it's good enough. Then we're going to get into the best options they could add, from Anthony Richardson, from McCarthy, to a few names you guys might not be thinking about right now. Who's ready to be legitimate number 2? Who's worth developing? And what should Miami actually be willing to give up? We're going to answer all that. So who should the Dolphins go get? Let's just get into it. How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining on this evening, this Wednesday evening. A little surprise for us to be on, but a little bonus episode. Appreciate it. I see the chat already getting going with the Dolphins, and we're not going to waste much time getting into this. We'll get everybody get in the room, share the broadcast. Remember, good thumbs up, all that good stuff. And subscribe. We appreciate it. All right, let's get into the current. Before we get into the names, all right, let's get into the. Let's kind of be honest here about the quarterback group, right? Behind Malik Willis, it hasn't been good enough. I've been at almost every practice, and Cam Miller actually has been more impressive than yours. I've told you that. And that doesn't mean that Cam has been great, right? It means yours, outside of maybe one good half of practice, hasn't shown enough. I had a source who told me there's a little thing going on with the wrist there. I'll leave it at that. I haven't been able to independently confirm that with anybody else. But beginning of camp, he had a wrist issue. But something looked off with Quinn, right? Maybe he's pressing. Maybe he's not getting the real opportunity he wanted to compete. Maybe it's affected him. Malik was brought here to be the starter. I can't tell you what Quinn is thinking. I can only tell you what I've watched, and it hasn't looked right. And maybe also we got to consider he's also the type of quarterback who needs better weapons around him, right? He needs receivers who create separations. There are different levels of what type of quarterbacks need guys better weapons, and he's one of those guys. We talked about Tua being like that. He needs receivers maybe to give him cleaner windows, and they're young receivers here, so they haven't consistently provided that, and that's fair. They're young, they're rookies, but also NFL quarterbacks got to overcome some of this stuff, and Ewers hasn't shown to me the tools to constantly create when the play breaks down. So whatever the reason is, the result's been the same. Right now, he's shown enough he's not good enough to be Miami's quarterback too, or even the best developmental option in the room, to be quite honest, right? And again, this is not finding somebody to challenge Malik. Malik's a starter. It's about finding a legitimate number 2 while kind of building the pipeline like Green Bay does it behind him. And I personally would prefer like somebody with some athletic traits that allows Miami to preserve parts of the offense and that it's building around Malik. So when the guy comes in, you have to change everything. But every player on this list is different, okay? We have realistic cut candidates. We got athletic upside swing guys. We got higher floor backups, former high draft picks, and a few players who might be worth a late round pick, right, or trade. Some might become available. Some, are more realistic than others, but Miami should definitely be making these calls with some of these guys we're going to talk about. Like, you can live with the young quarterback who isn't ready today, but that's if the upside's there, right? Like, you can live with limited upside as well if the player's dependable enough to kind of be your number 2, kind of has the floor. Right now, Miami has neither, okay? And that's not where you want to be at the quarterback room. Right? Like Cam Miller, for example, he can continue to develop. He could be on the practice squad. He'll clear waivers. But Miami needs somebody with a better chance of being kind of their legitimate 2, or at minimum, somebody with enough upside at least to develop it to a future asset, right? Maybe the player becomes a backup. Maybe you develop him and trade him down the road like Green Bay does. Maybe it doesn't work. You take another swing. But you need more talent and you need more potential in this pipeline than we currently have here. right? And we'll get into the names. And let me get the chat here. Shout out to the chat. Appreciate you guys. Taylor Green, quarterback. Hey, might be on the list. 99, Jack Strand. He'll never know. Might be on one of our lists. Hit the like button, everybody. Thank you, John. Or a shot at Jimmy G. Yep, maybe Jimmy G. We'll see if he's on here. Will Levis, another option. What's up, John? Appreciate you, brother, tonight. What's going on, fellas? He's a big Quinn Ewers fan, so you might want to cover your ears part of this episode. Shout out to the chat, man. Bring everybody in here. Good points, George. Thank you, Beach. Come on over. Bring your friends, brothers, and uncles. We're going to get into all this. We're going to have some fun tonight. I want to get your guys' opinions on it. We got great depth, but we can call them starters this year. All right. Let's say you guys ready to get into the names? I'm ready to have fun with this. We got our graphics back. We're ready to go. Let's get into our primary 8 targets, and then we'll get into some more names. Let's just jump right into it here. All right. Should not be surprised, anybody who knows me, this first name on the list. My man, Anthony Richardson. Look, all right, you guys know I've been on the train, the A-Rich train, for over a year now. If Miami's looking to upgrade quarterback 2, this is one of the calls I'm making. All right, let's just break it down. 4th overall pick, ran 4.43 at 244. Still only 24 years old, guys. And it's already has 15 starts. Now, I know what Anthony Richardson is right now. I know about the accuracy. I know there are questions about processing. I know it all. I went back and watched all these guys preseason, by the way, that we're going to talk about. Reading the field, staying healthy. I'm not going to pretend this is the guarantee guy here. I'm not going to do it. It's not. The last 2 preseason games, I thought it showed both sides of the coins with him. Okay? Against New England, he started with interception. Although the ball kind of went through the receiver's hands, but whatever. What did he do after that, right? He settled down. He completed 11 of 14. I saw some good things on film. There was a 53-yard. He had a 53 yards and a touchdown on the ground. So that the legs are always going to be there. Similar with your starter. He didn't allow the interception. He bounced back, didn't ruin the rest of the night, and he would do that before. Then against Atlanta, not so good. Okay, 3 of 9, 24 yards, and I'm not gonna dress that up. All right, he wasn't good. He struggled, but that's Anthony Richardson right now. Okay, you see the flashes. You see the athleticism. You see why at times why he was drafted 4th overall. And then you see why Indianapolis still has questions. But here's what I'm betting on with him, guys, is the change of scenery. That's the bet. That's the bet here. Sometimes the situation helps make the quarterback. Coaching matters. System matters. The people around him matter. You know, we just watched Malik Willis go through it. Okay? And remember what people thought about Malik when he left Tennessee. People written him off. Then he entered a better situation in Green Bay, received the right coaching around him. And we still have answers. We'll see how Malik does this year. But he's finally getting a real opportunity. Now look at him. You know, and look at the leadership Malik has shown. Hold the clipboard and learn. Shout out to Hog Dog. List of players that never played with Miami. Ewers, Miller, everybody about to be tested. But if you pick up AR, you can keep Cam Miller on the wall. So, yeah, Cam Miller will pass through waivers no matter what. Great point. Cam Miller will be through the waiver wire no matter what. Okay? So, I'm not worried about that. All right. But look at Malik now. Look at the leadership Malik has shown. Look at the type of teammate and person he is that he's illustrated so far. I think Malik is the exact kind of quarterback Anthony Richardson should and could learn behind. And let me make this clear. This is not about challenging Malik. We're not talking about that. We know Malik's a starter. This is about finding somebody behind him who's got some real NFL experience, tremendous physical upside, and some of the best athletic traits you'll find. And you can still use movement. You can still use play action with him. You can still use bootleg, design quarterback runs. He can get out. So you're not going to completely change your offense. All right. Now, is it more likely this doesn't work and Richardson suddenly become the guy he was supposed to be at 4th overall? Probably. But what's the downside? What is it? Seriously, what is the downside? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? You move on after the season. You sign another quarterback. Heck, if it doesn't work out midseason, you just elevate Cam Miller. Who's Cam Miller's about the same level as Quinn Ewers right now. So what are you losing? So somebody will be available. You could pick up. So, look, and financially, let's talk about this because I know some people might talk about this financially. I looked it up. Indianapolis has already paid Richardson's $4.24 million roster bonus, right? Miami will only inherit $1.145 of that base salary, and yours is scheduled to make just a tad over $1 million. So you're telling me we can take the swing, and maybe we have to throw in a late pick, 6th or 7th, maybe in 28, for $140,000 in more in actual salary. That's it. Come on, man. I'm making that call. You guys making that call? And Richardson can become a free agent after the season. But I almost view that as a positive, right? If it doesn't work out, Miami's not trapped. There's no long-term commitment. You move on, churn the room. This team is building. It's evaluating. This is the team you take chances on. This is the year. Churn that quarterback room. And we're not giving any draft capital, meaning we'll draft capital. I would offer Quinn Ewers on a conditional late pick. 24, starting experience. Hey, if it fails, you move on. But if the change of scenery works, you might have found something. So, hey, Chris Ballard says Quinn Ewers in the 6th, gets maybe in 28, a 6, gets Richardson to Miami. You making that deal, guys, in the chat? I'm making it. For me, it's absolutely worth it. John says, I knew Ewers was going to struggle when you fired McDaniel. He was a perfect fit for McDaniel. Slowick isn't what Quinn needed. Great point. I mean, could be the change. Absolutely. No denying that. That could be a part of the problem here. Again, I also think the weaponry, like he's the type of quarterback that we talk about levels of quarterbacks who every quarterback needs weapons, but there's different levels of who needs it more. And Quinn is one of those guys. So he's got a bunch of young receivers, those tight. There's not a lot of room to throw in those windows. He doesn't have the arm talent, arm strength, and velocity. It's just maybe it's not a fit. I don't know. Maybe the wrist thing. Who knows? The injury didn't help. But I can tell you, Cam Miller's been better than yours in camp. So, all right, let's go. I wouldn't like it anyway, but Justin Fields doesn't make the Chiefs roster. I don't have Fields on the list, but yeah, I mean, depending. I got to think about that one. Green Machine. Guys, make sure you're hitting the like button. We're going through all these quarterbacks now. Let's go on to the second one. You guys ready to move on? Ooh, okay. So, Jaylen Milroe. All right, next. He's one of my 2 favorite pure developmental swings. All right, Jaylen. And let's be honest from the beginning here. He has not played well this preseason. All right, through 2 games, he's like 11 or 19 for only 88 yards. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I think he's taken 5 sacks, and that's been the biggest issue. And Seattle hasn't even scored during any of his 9 series. So, like, that's bad. There's no way around it. Against Tennessee, the interception was poor over the middle. Then another one, the receiver fell down when I watched. So some luck, but still, wasn't a great performance. Then you got Drew Lock, who's playing well. He's locked in at number 2. He's Seattle's number 2 quarterback. And to be fair, Milroe hasn't shown he's been ready for that job. All right. But he was never supposed to be ready immediately. Seattle drafted him in the 3rd round because of the traits, the arm, the athleticism, the speed, and what he eventually might become. All right. This was always going to take time with him. And I do wonder if Seattle is using him the right way. Like when Malik entered the league, I thought he would need time to develop. Malik was significantly further along as a passer than Milroe is right now, though. Okay? That should tell you how patient you need to be here. But if Milroe has to play, simplify it. Give him 1 or 2 defined reads right now. Move the pocket. Use the bootlegs. Use his legs. It's not going to fix the accuracy and processing overnight, but it gives you time until you do it if he's your number 2. But it gives you the defense something to worry about like it does with Malik, right? Now, none of that excuses the mistakes from this kid, right? He's got to process faster. He's got to protect the football, take less sacks, especially on 4th down. I watch him. He takes so many sacks on 4th down, right? At some point, you got to give your receiver a chance. But here's my question to you guys. Based on what Quinn Ewers has shown us during training camp in the preseason, would you really feel substantially worse if Milroe had to play? I'm not convinced you wouldn't. And at least Milroe gives us the physical element that can threaten the defense, right? More than anything, he gives you the upside behind Malik. And Miami doesn't have any of that right now, right? Quarterback is a position you should be evaluating every day. You keep looking, you keep developing, you keep taking reasonable swings. Maybe you find your quarterback too. Maybe it's 12 out of them. You find him on the 12th attempt. Maybe you develop it into a trade asset. I'm going to say that again. Maybe Milroe becomes neither. But I would rather take the chance than stand still in a room that hasn't shown enough with Malik Willis, right? With limited potential. Now, here's the big question, right? Would John Schneider move Milroe after one season? Probably not. Seattle's trying to compete with the Super Bowl, though. They are. They have obviously Darnold. They have Drew Lock ahead of them. Maybe John Schneider hangs with the phone, or maybe he listens. I'll still call. What am I giving up? Again, a late round pick. I'm doing it. This is the year to take chances again on talented players. This is another one. What do you guys think about Jaylen Milroe? Shout out to the chat. We appreciate you. We know Quinn gives us. We know what Quinn gives us. Another quarterback. At least there is a chance for upside. Miami's basically running the wildcat every play. It'll be possible for a defense to figure out. Yeah, stats haven't been pretty, but again, you're betting on the potential here. Ultra raw athlete with good arm, but needed major mechanical work to become a quarterback. I like Milroe last try. I agree. Drew Lock himself. Drew Lock's turned himself into a pretty solid backup quarterback. He's where he's supposed to be. The thoughts of franchise quarterback with him. He's where he's at. He's where he fit. He's fit where he's supposed to be in the league, and that's a really good backup quarterback. Somebody mentioned Stetson Bennett. Yeah, that's another name to kind of keep an eye on here. All right, so let's move on. You want another developmental guy? I'll give you another one of my favorites here. And you guys know how much I love this guy during the draft process. You absolutely know. That is Jaylen Green, man. That is Jaylen Green. This is not a hindsight for me. I loved him coming out of Arkansas. Like, I thought he was better passer than people gave him credit for. And then you add the athletic profile. Come on, man. Come on. 6'5", 277, ran 4.36. Official, by the way. 43.5-inch vertical. 11.2 broad jump. Both combine records, I think, since like 2003. Crazy stuff. RAS score, 9.99. Get that out of 10. That's one of the greatest ever. Like, how do you not want to take a chance in that? Now, I understand why he lasted the 6th round. He needs work. The throwing motion can get long. The accuracy becomes inconsistent. I know all that stuff. He's got to see the field better. A lot of the same things we talk about a lot of these guys. But he, again, like Milroe, he was always going to be a developmental guy. But here's where the Cleveland situation gets a little strange. They got Deshaun Watson, right, as a starter. Shedeur Sanders is the backup. They still have Dylan Gabriel, who might talk around a little later in the quick hit list. Then we have Jaylen Green, 4 quarterbacks. And Green hasn't even received a single snap in the first 2 preseason games for the Browns. Like, honestly, I'm not even sure if the Browns know what they have in Jaylen Green yet. Like, how could they? He's barely received any opportunities. Like, all we know is the 4.36, the record-breaking jumps. Like, we know he's got the big arm, but, like, we don't know how it translates to the NFL level yet. We haven't seen him handle a live pass rush, or we haven't seen him make decisions in an actual game. We haven't seen whether the accuracy or arm talent shows up better than we thought, or does he adjust to the NFL speed? We simply don't have enough on him, right? That's what makes tomorrow night, when he makes his debut, Gabriel will start, and then Green will finally get his, first preseason action. So, like, I guess, guys, like, watch that game tomorrow night. Tune into that one. To see Jaylen Green live in action. And I don't expect a finished product, but I kind of want to see how I'm curious to see how he plays. And what does he do when the play breaks down? I'm curious to see, because I think if I'm not mistaken, I think the only opportunities they gave him was like during the joint practice versus Buffalo, and Green was like 3 for 3 and a touchdown. Like, not bad, right? Doesn't prove anything, but like, yeah, the only thing we've seen is pretty good. It makes me want to see more, right? And this is a lesson here. I want to kind of say this and kind of say it to all quarterbacks. You cannot develop a quarterback without giving him repetition. You can study, you can watch film, he can stand behind 3 other quarterbacks in practice, but eventually the dude has to play. He has to make mistakes. He's got to feel the pressure. He has to learn what works at NFL speed level and what doesn't. And Cleveland's quarterback room, dude, I don't know what they're doing. Like, maybe Green plays well tomorrow and they say, heck, we're not moving him. But maybe they keep all 4. Maybe they move somebody else. But if he gets squeezed out, dude, Miami better be on that, okay? And let me ask you this: do you guys trust Cleveland to make the right decision at quarterback? Because I don't. So if their plan, like, okay, so this is a situation. If their plan was to carry 2, carry 3, like he's worth that. There's too many physical gifts here. It's a young roster. This makes sense. This team, it makes sense for this team. So keep your eye on that Browns game tomorrow with Taylor Green. Shout out to Derek says makes sense. Next year's Browns are drafting Arch Manning. They got a ton of draft picks, so maybe we should offer a draft pick or trade for Tua. No. But there might be another quarterback on that Falcons we're going to talk about. Stick with the viewers. If it's not, Drew Mestamaker, my man. Yeah, check out the article on finsfaithful.com on Drew Mestamaker. So shout out to everybody, guys. Make sure you give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe, get over here, share the broadcast. Are you ready to get into the next guy? Let's get into another one. Will Howard. So he's an interesting name, Will Howard, right? Now, moving to a different style of quarterback here for a minute. Howard he doesn't have the type of traditional ceiling that these other guys have. He's got more of that traditional quarterback 2 ceiling. Maybe like what Miami Hope Quinn Ewers would reach, right? I'm not saying they're the same quarterback. They're not. Howard is bigger, 6'4", 236. He may be further along towards filling that role than Ewers. Now, of course, with Howard, we all remember that Ohio State, the national championship, the 73% completion percentage, 4,000 yards, 35 touch, and all that good stuff. That was college. What does he show in the NFL? Not much yet. Okay, and that's important. Why? Howard was injured last year, his throwing hand last summer, missed the entire preseason, entire thing. Went on IR, never played a game. So these 24 attempts he had this preseason is actually his first actual NFL game action. Against Green Bay, he looked good. I went back and watched it. I think his final stats were like 7 of 9 for 86 yards. He had like an 80-yard touchdown drive. I liked it. Then he played the Jets. Not so good. Threw 2 picks. It was like 10 for 15, 74 yards, something like that. One of them was a safety read his eyes, like he was just looking at the receiver, right? Maybe the receiver, I heard the coach say the receiver might have made a mistake, but fair enough, his eyes were just locked in. But, what is Will Howard right now? And again, we don't know. We've seen an encouraging performance and one rough one. But Howard's game, actually, is like I said, there's different types on this list. Howard's game is more like a traditional backup quarterback. He's not Milroe or Green, not that type. He's not going to scare the defense like with rare athleticism. That's not his game. He wants to play on time. He wants to set his feet, make the read, deliver the football. Kind of more the traditional quarterback. Because we're not just only looking for development. We're also need somebody who could actually be quarterback too, right? He doesn't have to be a superstar upside. That's why there's different kind of variables on this list and different levels on the list. Sometimes you need somebody who can come into the game, just get everybody lined up, understand the plan, make the throws available. That's guys have been in the league 10 years doing that. All right. Now, here's why Howard could become available. Okay. Pittsburgh's got Aaron Rodgers starting. They got Mason Rudolph. That's their experience backup. They drafted Drew Allar, who's been the star of preseason. Looked like teams were wrong on him. Shout out to my man Lo-Fi, who was right on Aller the whole time. So you got Howard. Like, you would think, like, Mason Rudolph could be the surprise there, but like, to me, when I look at the construction of it, you have Rudolph, the experienced guy. Then you already have your young developmental guy. So do you need Howard, right? Or are they going to keep 4 quarterbacks? I don't know if they're going to sacrifice a roster spot. They might, but that could leave Howard the odd man out. And if Pittsburgh lets him go, he's somebody I think they should look at. I saw some encouraging things versus Green Bay, and his style might have a better chance of becoming that traditional quarterback too than some of the bigger athletes we've discussed before earlier, right? That's the bet with Howard. I don't think you're chasing superstar upside. You're asking whether this guy can eventually come in the game and like just operate it, right? And there's some upside. He's a young quarterback, but he's not the most exciting on the list. But honestly, he might be one of the most realistic gets on this list. Willis couldn't make it to the game last year. Sam Howell could be an option. Reminds me of Ryan Fitzpatrick early in his career as a backup. Yeah, Howell might be on part of these lists called Cleo Lemon. For the record, I do think we'll win more games than expected. Shout out to New Jersey Finns. Appreciate that. I wonder if Matt Moore can still. Hey, Matt Moore, one of those guys we talked about, made a living in this league doing that. Okay. Made a killing. How long did he hit? Look at Chad Henne. You know, there's different, like, all these guys can play in 8 to 10 years. You don't have to have the biggest upside. All right. Let's just get Sam Allen. John, the Texas guys are never going to go for me, man. I know that. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next guy. Aiden O'Connell. We want more chance starting again. Shout out Great Machine. We want Aiden Connell. We want more. Do we want Aiden Connell? Aiden Connell. All right. We talked about Will Howard giving you the traditional development, but if Miami wants somebody, okay, if Miami wants somebody to come in and can walk in the building and run the offense tomorrow, that brings me to Aiden O'Connell. He's in a different category. Again, this is not a betting on athleticism. You're betting on experience, command, a guy who can step in the huddle, operate your offense, right? And when his number gets called, like, would the offense look a little different than Malik? Maybe. Yeah, he's not going to offer you the same kind of versatility, but I think O'Connell has the highest floor of all these quarterback 2 options on this entire list. He's already got, check it out, already got 17 starts across the NFL, across 2023 and 24, I believe. The guy's already thrown for like 3,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's a good ratio for a young quarterback. Now, he's not a franchise quarterback, no, but in this situation, we're not looking for one. We're looking for somebody who could be a number 2 caller, somebody who can keep the offense functioning and give you a chance to win. And I think this is a guy, and also you can develop a little bit and move off him. I think there's enough upside there because of what he's done in his young career. They obviously drafted Mendoza, but, you know, he barely played last season because of a wrist injury. They landed him on IR, but this preseason looks good again. I watched all these guys preseason film, and what O'Connell did against Houston just preseason caught my attention. I think it was like 20-3 at halftime, and he helped them bring them back. Like, you want your guys to come in who have experience to show you, all right, this dude is another level above these backups, right? He brought him back. He impacted winning on that level. He got the football. They were like 96 yards away from the end zone, no timeouts. Dude, he took them down the entire length of the field. 8 plays. I watched the whole thing, 96 yards, hit a nice 33-yard throw. Then he quarterback sneaked it with like 10 or 13 or 14, 15 seconds left. Yeah, I know it was preseason, but it was a real situation. You got to manage the clock. So that was good from him. And you have to get everybody lined up and make decisions, deliver throws. He knows how to do that, right? They got Cousins, they got Mendoza, they got a young, interesting kid in Jacob Clark. I don't think they're going to keep 4 quarterbacks. Clark might be the odd man out. We might see his name later on the quick hits. So I don't know. I expect him to get released. You're probably going to have to trade for him. And the contract doesn't scare me. I looked it up. It's $3.7 million this season for legit backup quarterback. Not bad. He becomes a free agent after the season, but it also kind of limits your risk. You get a 1-year eval on him, right? If he performs well, fits your offense, you discuss another contract, right? 3.7 for a backup's cheap, right? If it doesn't work, move on. I'm still not giving Las Vegas anything up. Again, late draft pick, but I'm calling to you. He's the highest floor guy for me with starting experience, can manage a game. That's how I feel about Mr. Aiden O'Connell. I expect to see Jack Strand on this list. I could see Willis, Ewers, and Strand on my team, mostly because Willis is only good for a few games. That's yet to be seen. Aiden is a solid option. He's like a Davis Mills to me. Not bad. Like that Davis Mills vibe, Robert. Shout out to Robert. Zach Wilson, $10 million last year. Yes. Aikman can be hard to. Yeah, let's keep him in the front office, help him make decisions. I like what he's done so far. All right, let's move on to the next guy, J.J. McCarthy. All right, I know some guys are going to raise an eyebrow here. I said O'Connell's the highest floor guy. McCarthy's like the most interesting one on this entire list. And let me be fair, right? I want to be fair. I wasn't high as on McCarthy as the Vikings were. Like, I was surprised they took him 10th overall, right? I had more him in that second-round quarterback range. So I'm not going to sit here and say former top 10 pick, go get him just because somebody else drafted him. Minnesota paid that price. Nobody else have to. Nobody else has to. But look what's happening here, right? We got Kyle Murray won the starting job. Carson Wentz now splitting second team reps with McCarthy. They also have Max Brosman, who I like. 4 quarterbacks. They're not keeping 4. So what are they going to do with McCarthy? They got a 23-year-old quarterback they drafted 10th overall only 2 years ago. He might be fighting just to be the number 2 if he gets lucky. He missed his entire rookie season with a knee injury. Last year, finally getting on the field, started 10 games. Minnesota went 6-4 in those starts. But he was up and down. The completion percentage only 57%. I didn't like that. Touchdown to interception ratio is about the same, 11-12. So, there was flashes. You can see the arm. You see the movement ability. You could see why teams talked themselves into the upside. But, dude, the accuracy wasn't consistent enough. The decision-making wasn't consistent enough. And the injuries have continued just to follow him. So, look, that's kind of where I am with McCarthy. He shows you enough to keep you interested, but then he leaves you wanting more. Now he's dealing with another ankle thing. So I think he missed practice this week on Wednesday. Might start on Friday. So keep your eye on that game as well. It could tell us a lot. Look, he's only 23, 10 starts, under team control till 27. The contract's affordable. You could owe him as little as like 1.75, I think, this season, followed by like 3.775 next year. Not bad for a backup. I'm paying for look, I'm not paying for what the quarterback that Minnesota thought they were getting. I'm paying for what I think what actually McCarthy has shown in the NFL now. He's talented. He's young. There's still something there to develop, but there's also accuracy issues, there's durability. Call Minnesota, ask what they want, right? What can we give you? Something in 28? Maybe we give you a 5th in 28. But if Minnesota wants something outrageous, move on. But he's interesting. You're taking a calculated swing at a 23-year-old quarterback. Shout out to hey guys, appreciate the show, love the content, appreciate you. Beat that Nocturnal. If Malik pans out, I still think we take a quarterback in the top of the draft. David, I think that's a great point. They need a young developmental guy. I think in the top 3 rounds they'll take one regardless. I do. Maybe it changes how high you take it, but I think in second or third, absolutely they'll take one somewhere in the draft. I couldn't agree more. JJ's a good system quarterback, not Minnesota Harbaugh system. I'm saying I'll swing on McCarthy. Somewhat similar style, was overdrafted but rushed out of the lineup because they think they can get a chance. I hear to see him year 1 in a competing team. They have a steady Wentz for quarterback 2. Okay, I agree with that. JJ will benefit from a change. He's another change of scenery guy, like Anthony Richardson. Change of scenery. I agree with all your points there on McCarthy. Okay. Somebody mentioned Joe Milton earlier in the chat. This next guy, everybody knows the physical talent. Okay. This dude, 6'5", 235. And if I remember correctly, he ran somewhere in the 4.5s at his pro day. So he's big. He can move the arm. Come on, man. That might be the strongest arm on this list, maybe in the league. We've seen all the videos of this guy throwing. We've seen the highlights, 80 yards plus. This part has never been in question. The question is, can Joe Milton take all those gifts and consistently play the position? Can he process the things we talked about? Can he throw with anticipation? Does he understand that every pass doesn't have to be as hard as humanly possible, right? And I think in the preseason, he has my attention, right? His completion percentage is good, like 75%. He's thrown for like 280 yards. He hasn't turned ball over. I went back and looked and compared him to the last preseason. He only completed 55.4% of his passes. So if we say it's preseason, still a difference. I like to see that. Okay. And he had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So I like that. I went back and I wanted to see, hey, did he do this last year? No, he didn't. So the completion percentage is up 20%. Those are signs that maybe he's starting to figure things out. So yeah, talent is there. He's still raw. The difference is this summer he looks a little more under control when I watched him, right? I'll tell you, there was a play against Arizona that stood out. Milton had room to take off, and usually he would do that. But what I like a young quarterback, when they have the room, he stayed patient. Just moved to his left, waited for his receiver. I think it was Malik Davis to uncover. Davis came open. He didn't. And remember I told you about him trying to throw the ball through everybody? Took a little bit off it. It's like we see with Malik. what I liked, how he's taking stuff off the ball, change speeds, made an easy catch. That's the stuff that you start seeing. All right, quarterbacks are starting to get it. All right, because nobody's going to post that throw online, but if you really look, it tells you something because we know the arm is there, right? I want to see the feet, the patience, all that good stuff with him. Dallas has got Prescott, Milton, Howell. They have three. They could keep all three. Howell is interesting. He might be on the list somewhere. But, Milton clearly has put up the better numbers through the 2 games. So I don't think there's a quarterback room crisis in Dallas. Like, Milton also costs only about $1.75 million this season. So he's under contract to 27. So part of me is like, why would Dallas give him away? I'll still call. Like, I'm just giving you the options here. Again, we're not giving up big capital. And maybe Howell's the one that shakes loose, right? Maybe he's somebody we look at. But, all right, Joe Milton, big swing. I'm all for it. Sam Howell sucks. Jordan, you mean Lev ass? Yeah, I'm not a big Will Levis fan. Jonathan says, I'd rather have George play quarterback. Brother, you don't want that. I'd rather, my brother played quarterback. Yeah, maybe that. Not me. I read that wrong. Dolphins, nice stat, though. Appreciate it. Shout out to everybody, guys. Make sure you give a thumbs up, a like. Here, we're breaking down Dolphins quarterback 2 options. We're giving you, we're flying through these. Jonathan, sorry. All right, let's get into our last primary 8 one. Okay. Tanner McKee. Maybe a little less obvious than most. Like, and honestly, I'm trying to figure out what the Eagles are doing here. What they're waiting for. Like, Andy Dalton has started both preseason games, but when I watch, McKee clearly has been the better quarterback. Dalton's not been good. I was looking at McKee was like 22 for 32 for 208. Dalton's like 6 of 16 for 64. Like, against New England, McKee went 16 for 22 for 173, 2 touchdowns, no interception. Again, preseason, but it's all we got. Insert Snoop Dogg. Who? Yeah, I like this guy coming on the draft. Look, he did it with primarily with Philadelphia's 13 offense, but that also means they're playing with 13 against 13 defense. McKee's played in 6. I think he's appeared in 5 or 6 games. He started 2 games. Still small sample size, but like 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Dude, I looked at his passer rating, 95.7. For somebody we're discussing as a 2 quarterback, young, 6'6", 230. Like, he isn't giving you much with the legs, but he can operate good in the pocket. The guy distributes the football. He protects it. Philly's got Hurts, Dalton, McKee, and Peyton. I love Cole Peyton. So, I don't think they're going to keep 4. Roseman said he's comfortable keeping 4. But, I think McKee or Peyton, I don't think they're going to get rid of Cole Peyton. But, Eagles aren't forced into anything. But, honestly, I would just get rid of Dalton if I were them. Right? That's just me. But I think they maybe want the veteran protection. They're a team competing to go to the Super Bowl. But if they put McKee on the market, he's only 1.145. So these guys had to clear waivers. But this is why maybe you want to secure a guy and give a 7th round pick in a couple years just to secure him because it goes to the waiver list. I don't know exactly what order Miami would have, but I think he's one of the more capable quarterbacks that gives you a little upside and a primary option for quarterback too. You're looking for a better version of Quinn Ewers and Cam Miller, So yeah, those are kind of the top 8 primary targets. What do you guys think of that? About those? Also, we got the poll going. Who do you want to add right now? Leading? Wow, surprisingly. Let's see who's leading the poll. Make sure you guys go vote in the poll. The poll. Will Howard's winning 37%. Anthony Richardson 29%. Aiden O'Connell 18%. JJ McCarthy 16%. Vote on that poll. At least you didn't mention Strand. Well, we're not there yet. We got some other quick hits. We got more names to watch. Okay, we got some more names to watch. All right, those are the 8 primary targets. But there's other quarterbacks that could change. Like all those quarterbacks. One gets kept, the other one gets released. So we're gonna give you a few more names. We'll go through them quickly here. Let's get through the list. Here's the quick hit list, other quarterback list. You guys in the chat, you got feel who you guys like and who your favorites on this list. I mean, looking at it, I'll go through it, not in any order. Like Dylan Gabriel, we talked about Cleveland. We talked about Taylor Green. Gabriel's another guy. I'm not a huge fan. Like, I'm just not. He reminds me of another quarterback we just got rid of. But I have to put him on there. We'll see on the preseason game. We talked about Andy Dalton. I don't want to go. If you want to go a veteran route, he's the guy. If they keep, we mentioned McKee, and they keep Cole Payton, if they make him available, you have the comp. But I'm more interested in a younger developmental player than him. Missouri legend, Jacob Clark. Yes. Jacob Clark, as you mentioned, we'll just talk about him. We discussed O'Connell, but I mentioned the undrafted rookie, Jacob Clark, is another quarterback in that crowded Raiders room. Clark's 6'5", 220, man. He lit it up at Missouri State. This isn't somebody you're bringing in immediately to call a quarterback to. This is somebody either like you like him enough to keep 3 quarterbacks, or you like him to replace your practice squad. But we talked about it. They got Cousins, they got Mendoza, they got O'Connell. I don't know if they're going to keep 4 with Clark. So you got, let's go get the 3 young quarterbacks. You force your way into the conversation. Like, I like Clark. There's something to work with there. You guys mentioned Cole Payton. Cole Payton, I loved him coming out of the draft, man. Just like I like Taylor Green. It was in that 4th, 5th, 6th round range. He's big. He's 6'2", 230. Didn't play a lot of quarterback at North Dakota State. Started late, but great athlete. 4.56. He's raw, right? But he's a playmaker, man. Like, I'm not telling you he walks into Miami tomorrow and becomes the dependable QB2, but if they let him loose, I don't think they will. He gives you a spark, man. I like it. If the Eagles made him available, I'm absolutely having that conversation. That's somebody worth developing. Absolutely. All right, another guy on the list. So Sam Howell, again, not one of my favorites, but we talked about Howell in the Dallas with Milroe. They don't have to make that move. They can keep all 3. He's an upgrade over Ewers, but it wouldn't do much for me. But he's a guy you got to talk about. He'll be one of the better guys if they release. He's one of the names, one of the bigger name veterans. Max Brosmer, the other guy we covered, McCarthy. I like him. He's appeared in 7 games. Results weren't great, but he's more of a, hey, if they're going to, one's an on, may out, he's lower on my list, but he belongs on the radar there. Jack Strand. So check out, Hot Dog says Jack Strand is looking like a good Atlanta quarterback. Atlanta got 2 injury quarterback. Yeah, check out our guy Lo-Fi. He had an article on Jack Strand and who to look for on finsfaithful.com. Check that out. I'm convinced George would be all over Nathan Peterman if he was available. No. That I can tell you I wouldn't be. But yeah, Strand, interesting. And look at this dude, man. He's physically put together. You see his forearms and like his arm, like he's just got veins. He's a muscular dude. He's put together. He's 6'5", and he's all of 240. I'll say it again. If this guy put up production in a bigger program instead of like Minnesota State Moorhead, I think this guy gets drafted. Then he goes out and does what he does against Indianapolis in preseason. 12 of 17, 212 yards, throws a touchdown, runs for another one. Now he gets to Miami. The Dolphins going to have a first-hand look at him from the sideline, along with Tua Tagovailoa, who, by the way, is starting. So after what Strand did, Atlanta might have a difficult time hiding him, but Miami should be watching. Not only we get to see Tua start against his former team, what makes the game a little more interesting, obviously. Keep an eye on him when he comes in the game. Remember this show when he comes in the game. So, yeah, he's another guy. And no to Penix. I agree. He's another guy. And also, like, Sean Clifford only because one specific reason, the connection with John Eric Sullivan. Green Bay drafted him in the 5th round in 23. And when Sully was still there. So they know him. He's buried in Cincinnati's depth chart. I could see it happening, because of that. But look, they don't have to force a move with these battles tonight. They just need – I just think they need to get another body in the rooms. You know what I mean? So I have to look at all these guys. Who else? Aguilar. Aguilar's interesting. He's barely played, but, dude, I watched him, like, for the Jaguars. He didn't miss a throw. 10 of 11, 173. Again, tiny sample. I'm not getting carried away, but, like, I like what I saw. Lawrence, Mullins, Bradley, Aguilar's fighting for a place in that room. I don't know if he hits waivers, but he was somebody I'd be considered to pick up. Again, keep 3, or if you can improve your practice squad spot. Fagnano was the guy in the draft. Like, he's an interesting under the radar guy. He was, I thought, a draftable guy, undrafted rookie, played really well in the preseason. Looked real poised when I went back and watched him, like decisive, like beyond his years for a young quarterback. Baltimore, is giving him the opportunities. He took advantage of it. So, they got Lamar, they got Huntley. Do they want to keep 3 and protect him? Do they think he's going to be risk put on the waiver wire? I don't know. But again, he'd be somebody I pay attention to. George, add Tyler Thigpen to this. No. We're good with that. We're good with that. Yeah, Jacob Clark, we talked about bro, Howell, Peyton, Dalton. Do we miss anybody on this list here? I think we covered all the guys on the list. All right. So what do you guys think? There's plenty of names we could talk about on this list. There's plenty more. But, we talk about if Mason Rudolph gets. We talked about Stetson Bennett is somebody I should have probably put on. Hey, Chop not playing. Yeah, I mean, and by the way, the news of Jacob Rodriguez today, sideline. We're going to be on live tomorrow. Jason Sarney's under the weather. He's sick, so we'll see. But we'll have a guest on tomorrow night, I believe, and we'll talk about the game. Chris Bell coming back, all that good stuff. And facing Tua, a lot of fun stories and narratives in that game. If Fagano was a year or two younger, he would have been drafted. Very good point, Green Machine. He was the guy you were looking at that late 7th round kind of priority free agent, and he's looked good for Baltimore. So yeah, I agree. Dude, I love Adrian Martinez. Ryan Fitzpatrick over yours. You guys are hilarious, dude. I appreciate you guys. All right, so final verdict here. Kind of what Miami I think should do, right? If I take up all these guys on the list, I look at all these guys, right, that are on this list. I say, all right, I gave you a lot of names. I gave you different prices, skill sets, different levels of risk. I gave you all that, right? Different types of quarterbacks. Cat in the Hat says, what's good, Fin Fam? What's good, Cat in the Hat? Appreciate you for stopping by. Check the replay if you missed out all the quarterbacks we went through here. But yeah, so where do I land, right? Different levels to this. Look, if you want to say, I'll put it to you like this. If you want the safest, realistic quarterback to put behind Malik tomorrow, it might be try to go get Aiden O'Connell. You might not have the highest ceiling, but I trust the floor more than anybody Miami currently has. Will Howard might be the sweet spot, like young, talented, but maybe the most available, right? You could develop to compete for that job. JJ McCarthy is the one that probably makes me think the most. Is Minnesota going to actually move him? I don't know. But the pedigree, the talent, the potential, yeah, I'll check it out. And you guys know I love the upside swings of Milroe, Green. Give me the traits all day, lotto tickets. Give me somebody you can develop into something. But if you're asking me the one name or one phone call I had, if I only had one, it's Anthony Richardson. Why? Richardson gives me a little bit of everything. He started NFL games. He could be your number 2 right now. He's got the athleticism that you're looking for to building that's similar. It's kind of similar to your starting quarterback. He still has the upside at 24 to turn into a real asset. Now, is there a risk? Absolutely. But come on, man. If Anthony Richardson has everything figured out, Indianapolis wouldn't be trading him or answering the phone. So, like, players with this kind of talent only become possibilities because they haven't worked out. That's the bet. You're betting on the change of scenery. You're betting on a new coaching staff. You're betting on a new offense, different environment, unlock something that Indianapolis couldn't, and I'm willing to find out, right? That's my first call is Anthony Richardson. O'Connell, give me the floor. Howard might be the most realistic. McCarthy fascinates me. And I'll gladly take a swing on Milroe and Green. But whatever direction they go, do something, I think. Okay? Because right now, the quarterback room doesn't give you dependability and it doesn't give you upside. And you can't have both those things going wrong for you. You got to have one. Okay? So, yeah. I appreciate all you guys in the chat. I hope you guys enjoyed this Wednesday night show. We'll be back. I mean, we're going to be on probably multiple nights here coming. We got the show tomorrow. We got the post-game show. We got Sunday. I'll be live after the cuts. And maybe even Saturday, we're going to try to fit a 53-minute. It depends what's going on. But we're ramped up here in Finn's Faithful. Make sure you guys check out finheaven.com, please. Those guys at finheaven.com, finheaven.com, they support us. We support them. Unbelievable traffic on that website. We, as fans, we're so lucky to have these guys. You can go 24 hours a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, whatever. There's a thread on there. And check out finsfaithful.com, guys. We're growing. We're putting out more stuff. Please Check it out. We have great articles, tremendous writers. I'll be putting draft stuff. I should have a top 25 board out soon. That article should come out. So please check that out. And we're excited for the game. Well, Friday, we'll kind of preview it tomorrow with the guests and talk about all the narratives and storylines in that game. So, guys, I appreciate everybody joining me solo here. Sonny was down under the weather. We hope Sonny's feeling better. But, guys, thank you so much. Everybody in the chat, make sure you share it, subscribe, like, turn on the notifications if you enjoyed this. We appreciate it. All right. I appreciate it. All right. Until next time, guys, as always, guys, stay Fins faithful. We are